Hey guys, you're in a nutshell with me, Ina. Big news from Alberta. Inannounce ni Premier Daniel Smith na magkakaroon daw ng referendum sa October. Okay, only for Alberta, guys. Okay. The referendum, hindi po tungkol dun sa panawagang maghiwalay ang Alberta sa Canada. Instead, the questions that will be part of the referendum ay tungkol sa immigration policy ng probinsya. Okay, nagulat pa ba kayo? Ako hindi, no? Remember, a while back, pinag-usapan rin natin to in an episode. A few months ago, this premier, si Miss Daniel Smith, also issued some statements saying na parang ang mga non-permanent residents sa Alberta, okay, dapat tinuturing namin yan ng mga turista. At kung kayo ay turista, bakit namin sasagutin ang pagpapaaral sa mga anak mo? Bakit namin sasagutin ang medical expenses mo? May ganun siyang sinasabi noon, ano? Kaya hindi ako nagulat na may ganito ngayon. Pero syempre, big deal na talagang dadalhin niya na ito sa isang referendum. So meron pong siyam na tanong na ilalatag doon sa referendum. Pero mamaya babasahin natin, apat lang doon ang itatakal natin. Kasi those four are the ones that could, okay, hindi naman to sure, that could eventually, depende po sa magiging resulta ng referendum, could eventually, let's say, lead to amendments sa law, pagbabago ng batas, that will change temporary residents' access to social services like, access nila sa education for their kids and also access to the universal healthcare program here, yung public healthcare. Puntahan muna natin yung mismong announcement kagabi because after last night's announcement, nagkaroon din po ng press conference si Ms. Smith where she explained further her position on immigration. Mamaya pag-uusapan natin yun. I-play ko po muna a part of her statement last night.
These were far and away the issues most strongly identified by Albertans during last year's Alberta Next panel, town halls, and online submissions. And in my view, it is time to act on them. The fact is, Alberta taxpayers can no longer be asked to continue to subsidize the entire country through equalization and federal transfers, permit the federal government to flood our borders with new arrivals, and then give free access to our most generous in the country social programs to anyone who moves here. This is not only grossly unfair to Alberta taxpayers, but also financially crippling and undercuts the quality of our healthcare, education, and other social services. The October 19th referendum will therefore include the following questions.
Okay, bago po natin puntahan yung mga tanong, so ang paliwanag po ni Ms. Smith basically, kasi medyo more than halfway na yung pinlay ko na soundbite, kumbaga nagtitipid na nga ang probinsya ng Alberta, nagtitipid na tayo. Kailangan pa bang sagutin ang mga bagay na yan for people who may not end up here permanently? So now let us go to the questions. Ulitin ko, meron pong siyam na tanong pero apat lang ang parang directly related dito sa issue na ating pinag-uusapan. Okay?
Number 1.
O yan. Una, do you support the government of Alberta taking increased control over immigration for the purpose of decreasing immigration to more sustainable levels, prioritizing economic migration, and ensuring Albertans have first priority to new employment opportunities? Okay, yan ang una. Kung meron tayong mga viewers sa Alberta, sige, 1, 2, 3, 4, anong sasagutin niyo dito sa apat na ito? Ilagay niyo dyan sa comment section. Okay, number 2. Ito, do you support the government of Alberta introducing a law mandating only Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and individuals with an Alberta-approved immigration status will be eligible for provincially funded programs such as health, education, and other social services? This is very clear. Gusto nyo ba na ang bibigyan lang natin ng access to these social services are PRs and citizens? Okay. Although, mamaya sa press conference, clarify, ano tong sinasabi niyang Alberta-approved immigration status? Na-curious din ako dyan, buti na itanong doon sa press conference na mamaya ipe-play ko. Puntahan muna natin ito number 3. Assuming that all citizens and PRs continue to qualify for social support programs as they do now? Do you support the government of Alberta introducing a law requiring all individuals with a non-PR status to be resident in Alberta for at least 12 months before qualifying for any provincially funded social support programs? So that is one option, scenario na tinitignan nila, no? Bago bigyan ng access to education, health services, and other social programs, dapat 1 year ka munang manirahan doon sa Alberta kahit on temporary status. Basta 12 months. Okay. Number 4. Iyan. Assuming that all citizens and permanent residents continue to qualify for public healthcare and education as they do now, do you support the government of Alberta charging a reasonable fee or premium to individuals na hindi PR living in Alberta for their families' use of the healthcare and education systems? Ito, clear, no? For healthcare and education, okay ba kayo na bibigyan sila ng standard fee na babayaran nila for them to access healthcare and education systems? Okay. Anong mas gusto niyo dun sa 3 or 4, no? Yung una, dapat 12 months ka muna magstay kung ikaw ay non-permanent resident. Itong number 4 naman, may bayad. Tapos pwede ka na agad mag-access. I think, no? Parang ganun. Okay. Interesting, no? Anong palagay ninyo yung mga kababayan natin dyan sa Alberta? I must say, itong mga parang proposal na ito, yung mga scenario presented in those questions, hindi siya bago. Ginagawa siya sa ibang bansa. Okay, ginagawa siya sa ibang bansa. At mamaya babanggitin rin ni Premier Smith diyan doon sa press ko na ipapakita natin. Ang alam ko lang, di ba, sa ngayon, in a way, it's partially implemented for yung mga pumasok dito na mga international student, di ba? Yung may mga dalang pamilya, may mga anak. I think in Alberta, I'm not even sure, na-confused na nga ako, no? Or ano ba to, Canada-wide? Di ba meron ding 18-month period muna bago ka pwede mag-qualify, for example, dun sa childcare benefit? So yung mga international family students who had to wait 18 months for them to get, let's say, childcare benefits. How did you feel about that, no? Personally, I don't think I heard a lot of opposition dyan. Lalo na dahil, alam na nila, yan na yung rule di ba? Yan na yung rule. It wouldn't be really proper for them to complain about it if they knew what they were getting themselves into, right? Pero syempre, on a larger scale ito, kasi health at education ng kids, those are, I would say, two of the biggest factors being considered by people looking for greener pastures abroad when they look to Canada, di ba? So one question is, would this deter people from moving to Alberta? I'm sure many Albertans would say, baka okay lang yun kasi marami na nga, masikip na rin ang Alberta or what. Pero baka kasi maapektuhan rin yung mga talagang high-skilled na kailangan dyan. Even, let's say, healthcare workers who are also still much needed in the province, di ba? So I'm pretty sure that's just one of the concerns that will be raised for this discussion. Okay, puntahan na nga natin itong press conference, ano? Ayan, ito yan. O, tulad nung nabanggit ko sa kanina, ang unang tanong dito, clarify, ano yung sinasabi ni Premier Smith na Alberta-approved immigration status? Doon sa question number 1 pa lang yata yan eh. Parang ka-level niya yung PR tsaka citizen, no? Anyway, okay, I will play this.
Hi, Premier. Matt Skies, Globe and Mail. One of your questions in here cites what you call an Alberta-approved immigration status. This is on a referendum question. You announced it last night. What is that, and what would qualify someone to be an Alberta-approved immigrant?
Well, what we're looking at is a model very similar to what Quebec has had since 1991 with their Quebec-Canada Accord, where they have total control over their economic migrants. And so that would put us in a position where we would deliver a work permit. If that person wanted to move on to permanent immigration status, then we would have a provincial nominee program so that they could become a permanent resident. And then the federal government would determine citizenship at a time if that individual wanted to become a citizen. But we have to make sure that we're involved at the very beginning stages of determining what the market need is, issuing the permits so that we can connect the people who have the jobs with the person who need the jobs with the right skills, and then also creating a pathway to permanent citizenship. And so it would be very much modeled after what we see in Quebec.
Okay.
Okay, naku, ang problema guys, hindi ako talaga masyado familiar dun sa immigration program ng Quebec, ano. Pero yung sinasabi niya, hindi ba parang medyo existing na itong sistema na yan? Aren't provincial governments right now able to identify, tell the federal government, oh, ito ang priority occupations din namin. And they can limit whoever they will invite sa kanilang mga nomination programs or immigration programs. Hindi ba? But anyway, that was her explanation. They want something daw similar to what is happening in Quebec. Ang hirap talaga pag wala akong guest. Di bale, pwede natin himayin pa tong topic na to. Of course, next week, kasama ang isa sa ating mga suki. Okay? Next soundbite na ipe-play ko dito, eto, I found this interesting. Meron siyang sinabing statement tungkol dun sa mga temporary residents na nagdadala ng kanilang pamilya. Okay? Na hindi pa nga sila obviously PR. In this statement, you will hear na parang against pala siya dun, no? She frowns upon this idea, lalo na considering, kasi ang sinasabi niya, ang laki ng binabayaran para sa mga dependents daw na ito. Okay, I will play this part for you.
If you're only coming here on a one-year work permit, why are you bringing your family and expecting taxpayers to pay for that? It's $12,000 for every child who goes into a childcare system. It's $12,000 for every child who goes into the K-12 education system. We've already addressed this at the university level because international students have to pay the cost of their university education. But on average, we've got individuals who would cost the healthcare system about $6,000. And so those are just give you some idea of why it is we have to have a different approach. And we're frankly an outlier in this. Ontario, for instance, does not offer healthcare coverage to the families of temporary foreign workers, and the Canada Health Act has no requirement for temporary residents.
Okay. Okay yung first part niya, nagigets ko yung sinasabi niya. Yung sinasabi niya sa Ontario daw, walang access sa healthcare ang families of temporary foreign workers. I had to double check on that. Parang mali, no? Please correct me if I'm wrong, Pero pinuntahan ko tong website ng OHIP. Ito po yung sa health card dito sa Ontario. Sino ang eligible? Who qualifies for it? Sabi dito, pwede raw dito. Ito, If you are in Ontario on a valid work permit and are working full-time, okay, for an employer for at least 6 months. Tapos, if you meet this requirement, your spouse and dependents may also qualify for OHIP. Pero baka ito yung sinasabi niya, no? Parang may waiting period. Sabi dito kasi kailangan nasa Ontario ka na for at least 153 days. Okay? So that is about 5 months. Pero after that, pwede na sila mag-qualify sa OHIP. Okay, so I'm not sure what she is saying na in Ontario daw walang access to healthcare, yung mga anak o family ng temporary foreign workers. Okay? Sige, balik natin yung kanyang press ko. Okay, ito naman. The idea of having employers shoulder. Yan, yung insurance for their workers was also brought up. Wala po ito dun sa mga tanong sa referendum. Pero nang i-bring up dito kay Premier Smith, sabi sa kanya, paano yung mga naka-H-1B visa? Ito yung mga workers na nakuha daw from the US, usually very high-skilled yan. For example, in IT, yung mga ganyan. Marami nang lumipat sa Alberta. Baka naman mawala yung momentum para sa mga taong ito. Itong mga high-skilled people na ito, pag alam nila na hindi na nila ma-access agad-agad itong mga benepisyo to. Ang sinagot niya, baka naman pwede daw i-shoulder ng mga employers. Yun.
Well, I guess what I would say is that those are workers who will often seek permanent status. So the pathway ought to be come in as a temporary worker, and if it is a good fit and you're going to stay for a longer period of time, be able to get your permanent resident status, at which point then you would qualify for the same access to programs as somebody who's a citizen. But the temporary status, especially if we're talking about those high-income tech workers, I mean, perhaps their company should pay their insurance. If they have a high income, perhaps they should pay a premium. But what we're concerned about is the number of low-skill temporary foreign workers, international students, and asylum seekers who may not be here on a permanent basis and able to be long-term permanent taxpayers. And so we have to look at two different approaches. The approach that we want to take by taking more control over the economic migrants would be exactly what we're trying to establish here is.
Okay. So, ayun ano, nabanggit niya pala. Ang mas area of concern nila ay yung low-skilled DFWs, international students, and asylum seekers na hindi pa certain ang kanilang PR. What she is saying, yung mga high-skilled, there is a higher probability for them to become permanent residents later on. Okay, so that is it. O, diba? Ang lang muna ang ipi-play natin from the press con which was held today, February 20, 2026. What do you guys think, ano? Of course, referendum po ito. It's a big deal. Pero kunyari sabihin mo ang resulta niyan, overwhelming yes sa mga tanong na ito. Hindi naman po ibig sabihin na automatic mangyayari na po yan. Okay, but what could happen is the provincial government of Alberta, the lawmakers there may work towards enacting laws that would result sa mga scenarios presented in this question. Pero it may also not happen smoothly. Okay, remember, immigration, I think, for me, kasi syempre, immigration is a shared responsibility po yan between the provincial government and the federal government. I will not be surprised if baka may kumontra from the federal government, baka sabihin nila, teka muna, hindi nyo to kaya na. Parang you might be interfering with the federal government's authority over immigration policy. Sabi ko sa inyo, kailangan ko rin talaga ng immigration lawyer, no? Na makakausap tungkol dyan. Abangan nyo na lang po. Sige, magka-follow up episode tayo tungkol dito, no? And, mag-comment kayo sa ibaba para kapag matuloy na po yung susunod nating episode, pwede ko pong basahin ang ilan sa inyong mga input. Okay, so, that is it for now. I will end this episode here. See you guys in the next one. Bye!